Hello friends, welcome to Engineering Today, and hope you're doing well. Today we'll start with SpaceX's preparations for BN4. Then we'll discuss about the rolling out of the two Rvac engines. We'll end with an update on Orbital Reef, a commercial space station project of Blue Origin and Sierra Space. Let's get started with SpaceX teams, also working on Super Heavy Booster 4 to prepare it for upcoming major tests. In SpaceX's recent history of Starship development, the epic Starship Complete Stack was carried out on the 6th of August. Following that event, Booster 4 had visited the pad 2 times. Major works on Ship 20, Orbital Launch Tower, Orbital Tank Farm were carried out in the meantime. In early September, Musk had stated that they were aiming to carry out the static fire of Booster 4 in the middle of September. But several weeks have passed and we can see no such tests to be carried out. In contrast to the lightning pace of SpaceX, we can see there were only miles of wiring works done on the Orbital-class booster. And now it seems that they're preparing to do a test or something like that with the booster, as the report says work around the booster has quickened its pace. As we know, for the last couple of months, SpaceX has been working a lot on the Orbital Tank Farm. They've installed remaining propellant storage tanks and also started insulating them with sleeves. Plumbing of the tanks is also done for transfer of fuel. A great deal of work is also done with the Ship 20, including covering its heat shield TPS tiles. They've also recently carried out the static fire test of the Raptor engines installed inside Ship 20. By the end of September, Booster 4 was removed from the launch mount after its second visit to the pad and was kept aside. And recently, in the last week, they've installed the massive catch arms on the Orbital Launch Tower. As report says, Booster 4 was not transferred to any other place in the pad and was kept still with slow progress in the booster. Now with the Starship 20, Orbital Tank Farm, Orbital Launch Tower with arms near completion, they've got enough time to focus on working upon the booster for preparing it for conducting static fire and other tests. Recently, major works around Booster 4 have been noticed. Report says that by early October, engineers have started removing nearly half of the Super Heavy Raptor engines for the third time. This effectively signals preparations for major test campaign events, hoping to come soon. As for SpaceX, they've not carried out any complete wet dress rehearsal of a Super Heavy booster. So before going for flight, it will have to complete a wet dress rehearsal or a full-fledged static fire. And it seems SpaceX can do this by the last month of this year, 2021. According to a report, SpaceX teams have started installing heat shield on the Raptor engines, which will help them from any damage during static fire tests or flights. They've also taken in a number of new Raptor engines at the launch site. It seems that some of them will be installed in the booster and can be used to replace older ones. It's noticed that a foam-like material is placed around several frames of pressure vessels, COPVs, hydraulic components, and also in between the umbilical connections installed around the booster's base. Report says that those frames will be bound later inside steel aero covers. These aero covers are already placed near Super Heavy, waiting for installation. RGV Aerial Photography tweeted, "Booster 4 aero covers are set up for install. It's expected the foam-like material will work as an insulation to reduce acoustic effect on electronics components, valves, and computers, which Super Heavy will generate during various tests and flights." In our next update, we'll discuss rolling out of Raptor Vacuum engines to the launch pad by SpaceX for upcoming tests of Ship 20. SpaceX has already carried out the static fire of Ship 20 with one sea-level and one vacuum-optimized Raptor installed. Now, as we can see, they're effectively gearing for possibly another static fire test with all the 6 Raptor engines installed on it. Just after the recent static fire test, 2 more sea-level Raptor engines were rolled out and installed on the Ship 20. And according to latest updates, on the 28th of October 2021, SpaceX teams have also rolled out 2 vacuum-optimized Raptor engines and placed it beside the Orbital-class Ship 20, awaiting their installation inside the vehicle. Once it's installed, Ship 20 will once more have all the group of 6 Raptor engines, 3 sea-level and 3 vacuum, which will help them to go for further tests. and this they can have a static fire of all 6 engines. As per SpaceX records, Ship 20 had its full set of engines installed for the 4th time on the 4th of August. Soon, that event was followed by the marvelous Starship Super Heavy stack a couple of days later. But then Starship had faced numerous installation, removal and reinstallation and replacement of its Raptor engines. By the middle of August, Raptor engines were removed from the Ship 20, and then it was placed on one of the 2 suborbital launch mounts. By early September, SpaceX engineers had installed about 3 sea-level Raptor engines and 1 vacuum-optimized Raptor engine on Starship 20. Later, the single Raptor Vacuum engine and some of the sea-level Raptors were removed. In mid-September, one of the sea-level Raptors was again installed, but soon all the engines were again removed, which was followed by cryogenic proof test and ultimately reinstallation of 1 sea-level and 1 vacuum variant by early October. And then by late October, static fire test was carried out. Actually, 2 static fires were done within an interval of nearly an hour. First fire was only of Raptor Vacuum, but in the ignition, both of the engines were fired, creating a milestone. Now, having completed the 2-engine static fire of both variants and installation of 2 sea-level Raptors, Ship 20 is nearer to another milestone. Once the remaining Rvacs are installed, they can possibly go for 6-engine test fire, hopefully without any further removal or replacements. If it's done, then SpaceX will have hooked up the record of firing all the Starship engines during a test for the first time. And it seems such an event is not very far, as SpaceX have already scheduled a test window on the 1st of November, Monday, in between 10 a.m. to 6 p.m. Central Daylight Time. Today, we end with an update on Orbital Reef, the commercial space station. Orbital Reef is going to be a new commercial space station project, as announced by Blue Origin and Sierra Space. According to them, the space station will be operational at an altitude of 500 kilometers, which is higher than the altitude of the International Space Station, with an inclination of 51.6 degrees to the equator, same as the ISS. Boeing is also part of this project. As this project is a mixed-use business park, thus there are options for tourist excursions in space. According to sources, Genesis Engineering Solutions of Lanham, Maryland, is on its way to develop a one-man spacecraft in replacement of traditional spacesuits for using it in service, as well as in tourist trips around the planned station. Lindy Elkins Tanton, vice president of the Arizona State University, and also principal investigator at Interplanetary Initiative and Psyche Mission, stated, ASU is going to bring together this international group of 14 universities to work with Orbital Reef on the ethics and guidelines of research on how they can bridge all our expertise. As the report says, station modules would be sent to orbit by Blue Origin's New Glenn rocket, under development. Sierra Space will provide large, integrated, flexible environment modules for the station. Boeing's Starliner and Sierra Space Dream Chaser spacecraft will be used for crew and cargo transport between station and Earth. Redwire Space, a contractor of Florida, is chosen for providing deployable structures, payload operations, and microgravity research support in the planned station. In the station design, which is released, it's seen that the station has 3 core modules, along with 6 additional modules to be used for scientific and many other purposes. The core modules have a number of docking ports. In the animated design, it's noticed that 2 Boeing Starliners and 1 Dream Chaser spacecraft are docked to the station. The station also has 4 radiators and 8 pairs of large solar panels. Orbital Reef is targeted as a commercial place. People or companies can use it for sending experiments, facilities, or people in space. Janet Kavandi, president of Sierra Space, stated that NASA can use this Orbital Reef after ISS is retired. As per reports, Orbital Reef is accessible to all countries. Thanks for watching. Please subscribe for more videos like this. Hit the like button if you find the video interesting, and kindly provide your valuable feedback in the comment section. This will help us to improve.